Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And Fire Mage is an absolute blast after the recent round of changes. That 800% increased damage to Living Bomb definitely seems to be paying off, and things have changed. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you a rundown of how to get the maximum performance and the best experience out of the Fire Mage now with these new builds. The new build is focused around Living Bomb and Flame Strike. These are going to be very important spells. You want to be aiming your Flame Strike directly on the target to get maximum damage. So we're going to jump in immediately, Combustion, Living Bomb, and spam the Living Ever Daylights out of Flame Strike. And you can see immediately almost peaking over 300,000 DPS. Now, Observer got a recent nerf, so you can pretty much one-tap it with a Pyro, but during this scary moment with cooldowns, you definitely want to be careful and respect it. I was kind of BMing by running in here, so we're going to Frost Nova the Monk, blink away from the interrupts, and go for a Sheep onto the Monk. This forces the Trinket and Life Cocoon. So you do want to focus around doing maximum damage and finding opportunities to CC when your team does set you up. We're going to use Dragon's Breath to interrupt enemy casts here. We're going to interrupt that Fist of Fury and then just send some more Flame Strikes flying in, and do try to aim it as close to the Warlock as possible. You want to be applying Living Bomb to their pets after the Flame Strike with the new talent tree, which I'll have linked down below, and it's just going to RNG Living Bombs onto all the pets, and they're all going to blow up at the same time, basically do unhealable amounts of damage. So that is going to be the main goal of what we're trying to do. We want to try and shifting power to reset important cooldowns like our alter time, our combustion. So those are the cooldowns that we're aiming to with this shifting power. We pre-alter this stun. We're going to come out of it, barrier, cancel the alter, double blink away from the kicks and get a full sheep, and then go back to hammering the crap out of Flame Strike. But be careful, you know, Living Bomb explosions and Flame Strikes will break sheeps, so you're going to have to be careful about AoEing around where you've got your enemy healer crowd controlled, but we're still just pumping out massive numbers here. We can see the Observer down in the back here, and I do manage to snipe it off, but you want to kill that as soon as possible. We're going to continue to just hammer down Flame Strikes, and even with the Mistweaver not in crowd control, it's still pretty difficult for him to keep him topped. I should be paying attention here to counterspelling the Mistweaver. It could be a good way to be able to close out the game. Like right now, I could just go for a counterspell, but we get a sleep instead, so we're just going to continue to hammer down Flame Strike. You can see it's pretty straightforward throughout this first round. Just keep pressing Living Bomb on cooldown and spam Flame Strike onto as many targets as you can, and this is going to enable you to do basically the maximum amount of damage. This next round with the Warlock, we were actually unable to win, and I think it was because I actually switched my build. So previously I was playing Flame Patch and Flame Strike, and I probably should have just kept playing it. So it did a lot of damage in game one. You can see the DPS there. You know, Details is patting on the pet, but even without the pet at the end of the recount, I'm still doing significantly more damage than everybody else as well. It's not just pad damage, because when the explosions go off, they hit the players as well, and it's really the explosion damage that is going to be carrying it. But I didn't think that Flame Strike would be good without the pet. It actually is, so don't do what I just did in this second round, which is respeccing out a Flame Strike. You're going to lose a lot of pressure. So right at the start here, we're going to get Cheap Shot, double Cheap Shot. We're going to use Invis. This is going to reduce a lot of damage. It's really good to use this in the opener as soon as possible. Double Blink Away, spam out our Polymorphs with Alter Time, and we've got our Alter Time in a position where we're going to blink away, back away from them. Basically, you're just pulling away from the first location of your altar so that you can get as far away from the attackers as possible, and then you can use the Reset Blink to try and blink in the opposite direction. You can also use Displacement with that as well. We put into a Kidney Shot here. I trinket this one. It may not have been necessary. Sometimes you want to wait until your healer is CC'd before you trinket, but we just get absolutely decimated after that point. They proc our Cauterize, and this is where you got to be really careful when you're the target as Fire Mage. You really do need to be focusing on defense over offense, and I think I just was getting really excited about the changes. This was literally the first lobby I played with the changes coming through, and I got way too excited. You still have to be really careful when enemies attack you because you're running that Glass Cannon talent. It's going to make you very squishy. So we're going to pre-alter time here as they connect, blink away from the altar, keep applying Living Bomb as much as possible, and you can see without playing the Flame Strike build, we're focusing on using Pyroblast as opposed to Flame Strikes. We do pre-barrier the stun here, but that's not a guarantee to survive. We can double DB and then blink away and just try and kite away. You can see how I'm pulling the melee attackers into that starting room and going back and forth from the middle of the map to the starting room. This is really good for positioning the enemy healer out in the open so you can fear them into Ring of Frost and get them CC'd. Now I just get RNG crit here. I should have used block, and this is what I mean by like it's usually better to focus on defense as Fire Mage. So that's why I think it was good that we include that here in the lobby as well, as like the mistakes that you're likely to make, because this is one of them. You really got to be focused on the kiting. You got to be ready for the damage because it's going to be really high. You're really squishy. While it is super fun and you do a lot of damage with the Flame Strike build, you can see my damage was much lower that game not running it. You have to still be really careful defensively because you're just going to disappear against classes like Windwalker Monks and even Outlaw Rogues now with their new burst with Between the Eyes spamming shifting during the Shadow Dance. So we're going back to the Flame Strike build because we saw the Demo lock with the pets. You should probably just play Flame Strike every single round no matter what. We do Frost Nova the rogue out of stealth. I saw the sap, so I just Frost Nova around the healer, put him into a polymorph. It's really important to crowd control rogues when they come out of stealth or when they press Shadow Dance, because they'll have Subterfuge and they'll be able to just spam between the eyes. And it's going to do a lot of damage. So you can see I trinketed immediately because the rogue Shadow Dance, I alter timed at 100% health because I know he has to commit damage during this window of time, which means I can absorb his highest amount of damage and then just immediately heal it all back and then continue to blink away from him. Now, in this matchup, we've got a Monk healer. They have Polymorph DR, so I'm not going to worry too much about trying to get Polymorphs onto the enemy healer. I'm just going to focus on doing damage while he gets crowd control onto the other healer. Sorry, we have a Windwalker Monk who's going to be getting those in caps on the Mistweaver, so I can just focus on doing maximum amounts of damage. This is the danger of casting Shifting Power without any blinks. You do usually want to start the channel, blink away, or land a Frost Nova. You want to get the kicks away from yourself because your Shifting Power is actually really important to make sure that it finishes because it resets so many valuable cooldowns with the way that we're playing with using our Invis very early and our trinket alter time. Our healers in a fear here, we're stunned up, so we're just positioned at the pillar I honestly started stacking the rogue on top of the lock, and by doing this it actually gets them into a double leg sweep and we get that paralyze onto the healer, so I can just keep lobbing out flame strikes, keep it reapplying my living bombs, and get double cleave pressure. You basically just want to get as many targets as you can together, especially if you're playing with somebody who has an AoE stun like a Monk. It's going to stack them up and get you some really big value. Now we got that Observer up in the sky again, so we're going to try and snipe that as soon as we can, but we're also in a stun dying, so it's pretty scary. Our healer's into a fear. I blink away from the rogue, and I blink away from him again with a Frost Nova. He manages to reconnect pretty quickly, so we're going to displace back, and you can see it's really tough to kite this class, and then we time that into a Blast Wave Ice Nova right at the point where the guy rescues me, and I managed to squeak in a Polymorph on that Ring of Peace. I don't know how I got that, but with him having no trinket, there ain't no way he is going to be surviving that crowd control chain. So do try to punish healers that get aggressive. Normally I see a lot of mages do this at like the novice ranks, where they try and play aggressive on the enemy healer and they force these awkward situations where they just overextend and they die. If you're getting attacked, you can't do that. You can't push on the enemy healer. You have to be focused on kiting and look for opportunities where the enemy healer starts to get aggressive, and then that's when you need to punish them. That's the best time to do it, is when the enemy healer is running in to CC your healer or do something. That's when you catch them and you sheep them. You don't force it and put it onto them unless you're not being attacked, and it's really important. So now we got the lock again. Hopefully this round we're going to actually use our ice block because it's going to be very important. Here we can see the cheap shot with Subterfuge. So this is when the rogue is going to do a lot of damage. We're already at half health. We DB him. We blink to middle of the map, but the Monk is still CC'd. Serenity's popped by the Windwalker. I go for Combustion here, and I really wish that I was kept playing the Flame Strike build. That's the number one thing to take away. You can look, they touched me for 2 seconds. My Cauterize procced. You have to be really careful defensively. We had a coil onto the rogue, stun on the Windwalker. I got some distance in the middle of the map, and we're just going side to side with these two pillars off to the right and the left. We're going to be put into a kidney shot here. Our healer isn't CC'd, so we're not too worried about it. We can Blazing Barrier out of it. We can just blink away with Alter. This is going to reset our blink. We got displacement. We're just focused on maximizing our blinks to be able to escape, and we're going to Shifting Power to reset some of those shimmers, get some of our Fire Blast back. We get a full fear onto the healer, so we're just lobbing out Pyros, Phoenix Flames, and Fire Blast at the Monk, but oh my god, they connected me for 1 millisecond and I'm almost dead. So we're going to blink away from the Windwalker, and we're just going to block. I'm not risking it. My healer's in a sleepwalk with no trinket, and I'm taking too much damage, but I managed to squeak a Polymorph in the middle of this, and I'm pulling the rogue into the end of the starting room, so if the healer wants to heal him, he's gonna have to continue to stay in the middle of the map. If he continues to stay in the middle of the map, he's gonna get full feared like this. So this positioning is generally the best positioning that you're going to be able to get as double caster. You don't want to be playing on a pillar. Then we can just blink away. Could have used Alter before blinking here. I might have to panic Alter and then get a blink reset, or just get globaled by the Outlaw Rogue and the Windwalker. You can see like you got to be really on it, and my damage is much lower without this new build, which is linked in the description down below. You do really want to be playing this Flame Strike build pretty much in all situations, at least where you can get 2 targets. Maybe in like a double caster where you're not guaranteed. Even in a double caster when they turtle, I could see it getting value. Just around the pillar and stacking them up like that. But here with the double melee, it's still just as good as if you were fighting a pet class. So I shouldn't have been changing these. I thought for sure it wasn't going to be, but I think in these double cleave situations, it actually still is, especially after I've seen more and more fire mages throughout my games on my other alt, which you can catch on my stream, which is linked in the description down below. But now we got the rogue on our team, so we're gonna let him sneak in and get a sap, move towards the warlock, pop our combustion right away. Should have applied living bomb here. So this was my first game playing with this build, but applying living bombs, maybe I procced with a flame strike there and thought that I had pressed it. We're gonna snipe out that observer. We're gonna alter, and we're gonna blink towards the warlock, and we're playing really aggressive when we have our altar by running on top of him, because this is I'm just soaking damage for free, and I can pump out damage and then just alter and rewind any sort of the pressure that they managed to get on me. The monk was waiting at my altar, which is a common strat, so we're just going to Frost Nova and blink away. He gets a Tiger's Lust to get out of my root, so I'm going to DB him, keep lobbing down these Flame Strikes, and you can see I'm pulling the Windwalker towards the Warlock, trying to stack him on it so I can get Flame Strike to hit as many people as possible. You got to treat it like that, where you're trying to stack up targets. Look at all those living bombs that just proc there for a moment, and boom, they're all going off. He's losing like half his health. He has to wall Emerald Communion, so that's the big value that you're looking for. We're still Frost Novaing, blinking away, looking for a Ring of Frost, just trying to hit the pets with this Ring of Frost really to slow down some of the damage. I see a Tyrant out there. Crowd controlling the Tyrant is generally a good idea. Ring of Frost misses. I could use Blast Wave to knock him into it, but it's already gone at this point. Observer down, so we got to kill that Observer. We got an altar here, and he's Fist of Fury, so we use DB on Fist of Fury, and I could have altered and likely should have altered at full health here as they were connecting to me so that I could use some blinks, and because I didn't alter that soon, it's a little bit of a sketchier altar. We do manage to get in line though to sneak in a sheep around the pillar, punish the healers when they push in and get aggressive. Our rogue trades out Cloak of Shadows, and we got our combustion coming up pretty soon. We're still just lobbing out Flame Strikes. We're kind of outranging the Observer. You can sometimes outrange it as opposed to killing it. It can be just as effective if you happen to be far enough away. We get put into a stun here, and we're just going to immediately use Ice Block. We got Living Bomb procs. We're lobbing out our Flame Strikes. The lock is on the run. He's pretty much guaranteed to die into this next stun. You can see we're doing a remarkable amount of damage at this point into the game. Karma's on the Monk. We blink away from the Monk. We're spamming out Spell Steals, trying to steal some of these Shrouds of Concealment so that I can sheep the healer, but also so I can immune Leg Sweep. It's really annoying for a Monk to be able to get rid of it if you can get 2 charges of Shroud away from an Evoker. And we're getting knocked into the wall, but we don't really care. We're just going to alter and keep pumping out damage. We're taking some Tyrant hits. We're going to blink away from our altar so we can alter back. But it looks like my altar ended up getting removed there. I got Fire Breath. We're going to pull that Monk, try Nova him. He actually pre-ports the Nova, which is really good on his part. Our healer's in a Fear here, but their healer's in a Blind, so I Living Bomb. I trinket out of the stun, and we're going in pretty much for the kill at this point. Got to be a little bit careful. I don't want to break that blind. There's an Observer, and I have this tough decision where I'm like 1% health, my Cauterize procs, and I probably should have just stopped casting spells. So this is where I'm going like, okay, I've died too many times in this lobby not playing defensive, so this is me now going full defense mode. This is what you can do as well, and it's going to help you survive in these types of situations. This is where you just pull the melee into Narnia. You just take him as far away from the game as possible, using all your mobility, all your knocks, make it as annoying for him as possible. You try and Nova him, and you try and sheep him behind pillars is basically your goal with this. So we got alter time up right now. We can tank damage and just trade blows, and then we can alter back, and then we can pull this Monk behind the pillar, blink away, cast sheeps. My rogue swaps to the Monk. You can do this as well, swapping to him, but I really like just taking melee behind the pillar and then sheeping them and then pushing in for the win. This is one of the safest ways to guarantee that you can win a game. So we got him Nova. We're going to put him in a DR sheep, and now we got him sheeped. We can push in on this lock, and it's way more chill for me able to push onto him. He has to use a ton of mobility just to get away from that sheep, which means that I can then use my mobility to escape from his reconnect, which gives you a huge advantage. A rogue almost dies here. I think that Cloak and Vanish comes up in a second, get Cocoon, and we're just hammering through Flame Strikes. Living Bombs all go off, and boom, headshot. That is it for the Warlock. And this lobby continued to be the same for the rest of this. We won this final round with the Windwalker Monk going 4-2, and we got into like the top I can't remember what exactly, like top 6 or top 8 Fire Mages or something like that. The conclusion of that game would just give the boom where everything goes off, and we're doing massive amounts of damage with 33 points there. This new build is super fun. I just wanted to give you a video of my first experience with it and my thoughts on it. Definitely is worth checking out if you've kind of retired your Fire Mage at this point. But aside from that, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, comment down below, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.